Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And this Wednesday episode, like so many recent Wednesday episodes, is sponsored by Gray Fox Games. So, how has you guys' long weekend been?
I am confused on what day it is.
It's
Every
Monday.
day, all weekend.
It's Monday.
Correct.
It's Monday.
It's like-
It is now officially Monday.
Uh-huh.
It is not the weekend.
No.
Yes. I've done the same thing. Like, Megan and I were like running errands and doing stuff, being very productive on Saturday. And we got done and we got home and it was kind of getting towards the evening. We were like, man, I'm tired and we have to go to work tomorrow. Wait, no.
No.
It's Saturday. Tomorrow's Sunday. We still have a whole day off. We have Monday off. We have basically a whole weekend ahead of us. It was great.
Yeah.
So then we played board games.
Uh-huh.
And then stayed up way too late playing video games. So, Dying Light, really, really good.
Yes. Is that co-op now or something?
Yes.
I don't think it was originally co-op. I think they've added. No, maybe it was. I don't remember. It's a really old game that they keep updating.
Yeah, it's super good now, especially with the co-op. It's great being able to parkour around a vaguely Middle Eastern, vaguely Russian, vaguely Spanish.
It's supposed to be in
Depending who-
Turkey.
Turkey?
Yeah.
Well, I guess that explains the mishmash of cultures, because
Yes.
Turkey is a cultural crossroads.
And it was where the Olympics was taking place.
I
I don't
have
think
not-
that ever comes through in the story.
No.
You can, if you get up high enough, you can see like stadiums and stuff built in the background,
Yeah.
like across the wall and stuff.
The only thing I've seen referencing any sports in it is a poster inside the main like safe base that you can go to for one of your allies who is a 3-time world kickboxing champion. She's a pretty badass
Yeah.
little sidekick,
Because the Olympics were in town.
apparently.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we've been.
It's a good time to release a zombie virus.
Sounds
Is
like
that,
the
is
best
that what
time.
happened? Somebody released a zombie virus?
I think I don't think
Thanks for the spoiler, Jeff.
I don't think they ever explain it. Just as much as they don't explain that it was also the Olympics.
But it's been a lot of fun. It's a big open city. The parkour style running around is really cool. I like the fairly simplified down crafting that they have and looting. And I like that when you're playing co-op, even when you're completely cooperating, you can set up little challenges as you do missions. Like, oh, there's an airdrop, which is a random event where you can go get like goods and shit. But you can, when you notice the airdrop, if both of you push the same button and hold it for a second to activate, you can turn it into a race to get to the airdrop first. Or like, if you're in an area with a lot of zombies, it'll pop up a prompt like, hey, do you want to have a competition to see who can kill the most zombies? Or like, who can get the most valuable loot? And shit like that. And that's pretty cool. I've really been enjoying that.
I played that game a lot when it first came out, and then they released a bunch of stuff, and I never bought it. But I have no idea what happened to my save, so I'll probably never play it again.
What'd you have it on?
PC.
Well, when you get your new PC up and running, you can get it again, and then you can play with Megan and I.
It's almost there.
We'll be a 3-person parkour team.
Yeah. What'd you call it?
Hardcore parkour.
Okay.
Yep.
I was going to ask.
Zach, you can also get it and be our hardcore parkour 4th.
Is it 4-player co-op?
It is up to 4-player co-op now.
Okay.
But that would require me to
Not
be playing World of Warcraft, and that's a tall order.
Pull yourself out of that rabbit hole, Zach. It goes nowhere
No.
good.
No, you know
No,
what?
it goes very deep. It is a very deep
The only
rabbit
I
time
hole.
didn't
that's-
say it didn't go deep. I just said it goes nowhere good.
Oh. Well,
He'll
I guess that's your definition. Depends on your definition of good.
you'll pull up
Anything productive? No, not at all.
No, certainly not.
you'll pull up sometime when you run out of content
Yeah. But
until the next patch.
I also didn't. I have a lot of previous expansion content that I've never done. So
Oh yeah, I guess once you hit max level, then you
Yeah.
can kind of go back and
I was playing last night on one of the dungeons, and the final boss, he has a thing where he basically fires guns all around him, and then there's a couple spots where you can stand where you don't get shot.
Mhm.
And he says, you'll get caught in the crossfire. And that immediately made me think of whoever kept talking about crossfire when we
It's
were.
probably Ant.
Yes. And it made me laugh out loud when I saw that.
I guarantee it was Ant.
Yeah.
Right
Did you get the reference, Adrian?
No.
There was a
Okay.
game called Crossfire.
There's a game, and it's not class bonk, right? That's what it's called.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's that thing.
okay.
And people are like,
Yeah.
it's like wooden crossfire, and they're like, you'll get caught in the crossfire.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Old shitty 90s
Board
toys.
board game.
I'm not even gonna call
commercials.
them games. Toys.
Toys.
Also found a reference to Voltron too.
It's at least the second reference to Voltron.
There were in a cave. There were 5 mechanized cats of different colors.
Okay.
World of Warcraft clearly off the rails at this point. Mechanized cats, guns.
No, that is
it's been off the rails for quite some
Yes.
time.
Okay.
I'm surprised they find so many rails to go off of.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like that scene in Indiana Jones when they're just going along all the rails, and occasionally they jump off, and they somehow miraculously land on different rails.
Yeah.
That they get to go off again.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, like we said, it's the second reference because Old War
Ulduar.
had another Voltron reference, which is now also in Hearthstone.
Yes.
So now they can just make those references in their other games.
There you go. They can reference a reference.
That's literally what Heroes of the Storm is.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Remember MOBAs?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, those are a thing.
Yeah,
Still a thing to some people.
indeed.
Yeah, but all of the trendy people have moved over to the arena battle stuff.
Battle Royales.
Battle Royale.
The Murder Islands.
By trendy people.
Specifically Fortnite, but
Yeah, that one has definitely wrecked face everywhere.
Yeah, I remember when I first saw Fortnite, I was like, oh, this seems pretty cool. And then I realized what it actually was, and I was like, nope, fuck that.
for me, it was as soon as I saw that I had to build something, I was like,
no,
I am out.
No.
I don't play games to build things.
No. That's a different skill set. I know
Yeah.
how to shoot.
Yeah,
I'll do that.
yeah.
And
I can destroy things. That's
I have PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds to
Yeah.
be able to shoot things.
exactly.
They destroy enough of their community already.
You're not wrong. Yeah.
Oh, dear. Anything else exciting that you guys have done this weekend that you want to?
I built a computer.
Yeah.
Well, I
You're just
finished
missing.
building.
You're just missing BIOS now.
Yes, motherboard BIOS. It boots, but it doesn't have Ethernet BIOS, and I can't get to the internet without that. So I need to get the disk from. The
Sounds like
person
you
who
just need to
gave
pull
me-
yourself up by your own bootstraps.
Yes.
And,
I need to get the disk from the person that gave me the motherboard, or have Adrian have a functional burner in his laptop.
now you know that's too much to ask.
I know
Yes,
it was too much to ask.
Yeah. Yes.
But he did find all of his burnable CDs.
Yes, I got a huge stack of them now, and DVDs,
Yes.
which are larger.
Mhm. I'm pretty sure most of those burnable CDs were all like Nickelback mixtapes. So you're gonna have to
That's-
go down to find one that doesn't have anything on
He
it.
was finding data on other discs.
It was
already.
system data, not Nickelback data. Fucking Nickelback.
Favorite band.
Yeah.
How many Nickelback World of Warcraft references are there? There's
I-
got to be at least
I'm
one.
sure there's one. I've never
There's
seen.
got to
it.
be at least
Yeah.
one.
You know what probably it is that I think if Adrian saw it, he'd immediately recognize it. Whereas for us, it would take us
but
a while.
yeah, we wouldn't really get it.
We wouldn't get it. But
It's like, oh, what is this referencing? And have to
Yeah.
go to the Wowpedia to
yeah,
figure it out.
exactly.
Well, it's been a fun 2-year run for the podcast, but I'm done being friends with these assholes.
Okay.
We're just gonna shut this down.
That means we
right
can
now.
finally do our Charterstone review then.
You guys.
Burn.
Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about?
I've been rewatching BoJack Horseman and The Good Place.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that last night after we played Brass.
Yeah.
that you'd been rewatching. You talked about both of them a little
Mhm.
bit because I've talked about before on the show that I can't really get into The Good Place.
Yeah.
But you gave me a little bit of a push to like just get through the first season.
Yes.
Just devote
That's-
10 hours.
No, it's not 10 hours.
That's most shows, to be fair.
It is 13 episodes at like 22 minutes each. So
It's like 7 hours.
5 at the most.
5 to 7 hours.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
but
We'll
compromise.
So what it was is I started watching because both of the new seasons of those are starting this month. I started watching BoJack Horseman, but I was like, I need something to temper this depression hole. I saw a picture that somebody posted. It's basically to reference Princess Bride,
yes.
and it's like when rewatching BoJack Horseman. Where did we start off again? Ah, yes, the pit of despair. And so I was going to be watching The Good Place in between that, but I immediately, in 2 sittings, I basically watched each season. And so now I'm going through season 3 of BoJack, and it's starting to get rough again. I'm like, oh no, but it's a good pain. It lets me know that I feel, and what I feel is sadness.
Yeah, I'm sure that BoJack is a great show.
Uh-huh.
I've heard literally nothing but good things about the quality of the show. However, the content of the show seems to be, from everyone that I've heard talk about it, so mind-numbingly depressing that I don't have any interest in it. Life itself is depressing enough. I don't need my TV shows. I watch those things for escapism.
No, it's nice because it's like, oh, I can relate to that. As his mom says to him, This is punishing you for being born. No, my mom is great, but yeah, no, that's basically what I've been doing. So
Okay.
I finished out the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was only 5
And
seasons.
What side won?
The not good. No one, because the show was canceled when Disney bought Lucas.
Yes.
And they didn't finish the show.
Mm-hmm.
But they're bringing it back, right?
They are. They just announced they were bringing it
Yeah.
back. So it's been quite a few years, because it had season 5 and then it was canceled between 5 and 6, but they had finished half the episodes, and so they put out like 13 episodes on Netflix. And then that was it. And then they had everything else, and then they made a bunch of books and comic books and stuff that sort of finished everything else out, and now Disney's going back and being like, we're just going to make that back into a cartoon.
Okay.
Yeah, sometime next year. It's going to be on Disney's streaming service, so
Oh.
yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Apparently there's a live-action TV show supposed to be on there, too.
Yeah,
It's supposed to be by someone fairly well-known.
Of Star Wars?
Yeah.
Eh,
A Star Wars live-action show.
Interesting.
Yeah.
One last thing before we move on to what we've been playing. Quick home ownership update.
There was one less knob getting into the house today.
Yes.
Yeah.
The screen door now has no lock mechanism or latch or anything, because when we bought the house and we moved in, we noticed that the storm door, the handle to open it, instead of pushing down on the handle like every other handle in existence,
Mhm.
you have to pull up on it, which is a very awkward motion.
I mean, I'm sure that was there to stop burglars, because they would try and open up the door and they'd be
Oh,
like,
it's locked.
it's
we
locked.
Can't,
Damn
we
it.
can't get in. And then once you open the storm door by awkwardly opening it, and you wanted to come into the house, either you had to put in the code to undo the deadbolt, or you just pushed the door if the deadbolt was open, because
Yep.
the latch for the actual door handle was installed backwards, so it would just push itself open. There was no actual latching. So as part of my weekend of productivity, I went to tackle the door situation. Well, the front door was easy enough. I took the handle apart, flipped the latch mechanism around, and boom, it shuts and latches like a door properly should. So that was easy, and I was like, sweet. I was riding this high of success. And I moved on to the storm door. I took the handles apart and pulled out the locking mechanism, and that's when I discovered that the reason it was turned to go up is that the other side of it, the gears inside the mechanism itself were fucked, and so you could not physically get the handles to turn down. I was like, okay, no big deal. Now I understand why they did that. I've got it all pulled apart. I'm gonna go up to Lowe's. I need a couple other things for the house, some wasp spray, and other random shit that just keeps popping up. Lowe's is becoming a regular stop for me. And I get up there and I go looking around for this door handle. I can't find it fucking anywhere except installed in all of their storm doors. Exact same fucking latch I have installed in every storm door Lowe's had, but nowhere in the store to buy for itself.
How much are the doors?
$120. And I was very close because I was very pissed. I was very close to spite buying just an entire new storm door, taking the latch out there in the store, and then just pushing the door over, shatter on the floor, and then walking away. This is what you've done, Lowe's.
If you want to be like, by the way, I'm never coming back here again, that's a perfect way to do that.
Yes.
So ultimately, I talked to one of the people there, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you have to special order them. You know, it sucks." And then they wanted me to call back tomorrow to do that. Instead, I just went online and found it for $15 from the manufacturer. So,
Okay.
ordered that. Then I went up to go get those other things that I needed. Just a bunch of random shit. Bug spray, some sealant, some Velcro strips, shit like that. They're in such weird fucking places all around Lowe's. I was walking back and forth trying to track everything down.
Yeah.
And finally, one of their associates was like, all right, I've seen you walk back and forth across here 7 times. You're clearly looking for something. So don't say nothing. What do you need help finding? It's like, fine. Here's my list of things. She's like, okay, that's aisle 2. That's at the front of the store. That's at the back at aisle 8. That's over there. And it's like, okay, sweet. Goodbye. And then I walked away and I was immediately like, shit, what were all those aisles?
Of course.
Of course.
Got my stuff and got out of there. That was my adventure at
Did you
Lowe's.
keep going back around, but you just sort of avoided that one area where he was?
Yeah, just peek around the corner. Like, is he in this aisle? No, he's not. Okay, I can go. Go.
Tuck and roll.
Terribly exciting, I know, but that's the home ownership update.
Terribly exciting.
Yes. Anyway, let's talk about board games.
Sure.
Because This is a
Sure.
board game podcast. We do that sometimes. Zach, what have you been playing?
So I wanted to touch on 2 main things. I've been playing 2 other games, but you guys are going to talk about them, so I'll assert my opinion there. But for this one, we're going to talk about Ilmat, which is the game by
Decemberists.
Well, yes. So technically, it's a game that they're like, we think this is a game, and then a designer was like, I'll make that into an actual game.
Yeah. Okay.
Baker, I want to say. I know, but it's basically Jeff played this with me, and it's basically a trick taking. Well, I don't know. How would you describe it, Jeff?
Card game
Well,
with different cards.
yeah. Okay. So it's sort of
like tarot side. No,
they are tarot sized cards. But it's sort of a trick taking game, I guess. But with a board full. Oh, not even a board. A cloth mat full of cards.
It is categorized as a abstract strategy hand management set collection game.
Set collection game that actually works better. Yeah. So there's 4 different suits. For fall, winter, spring, and summer, and then you actually use the bottom of the box because it has those 4 things set up, or it has an image with those 4 names on it, and you have this cloth that you put out, and you have basically 4 different sections that are based on fall, winter, spring, and summer, like I was saying, and you can only do certain things in each of those areas because in the game you can play a card down to sow it, which is you're basically sowing it into the field, which is like one of the areas of the cards.
Okay.
Another one is stockpile, where it's like you're adding. So if you have a 2, you could add it to a 9, and it makes it an 11. And then you can also harvest, which is you play down a card, and then you take any cards that are that number or add up to that number. So if I put an 11 on that, the 9 and 2 that I had played before, you can pull those up, and you get to put them into your discard pile. And then at the end of each round, whoever has the most cards gets points, and then whoever has the most sun cards gets extra points. Whoever has the most winter cards gets negative points, and then you get other points for other certain things like that.
Okay.
But when you clear a field, you get to flip over. What was that called? Lumacy?
Yeah, luminous cards.
Luminous card or something like that.
Yeah.
And then it activates an ability there, and then luminaries, and then if you clear that field again, you get to take that card. It's worth points, and you also get to do something else. I would say the main gimmick though is that whenever you play a face card, so that's 11 through 13, and then the ace or the fool, you have to. So say I play the Fool of Winter, and I play it into wherever summer is, then I have to move winter to correspond with where I just played. So it's moving it around, and now you can't sow in certain areas, you can't stockpile, and you can't harvest in certain areas.
Okay.
And it's just basically going around and doing that until more or less the end of the round, and then it's the first to 17 points wins.
Okay.
What did you think of it, Jeff?
I thought it was all right.
Yeah. We played with 3 players. It probably would have been better with 4, I think.
Yeah.
Because then it adds a 5th suit, which is just stars. But I don't know. It was. I agree with Jeff. It was all right. It wasn't anything.
There was a couple things we didn't really have the right rules on, or weren't sure exactly how they worked.
The luminaries are a little annoying because they're very abstract.
So you have to look in the book.
So you have to look in the book to figure out what the hell it's actually talking about. And they're all references to the Decemberist Crane Wife album. So
yes,
or at least the expansion was. But it went quick enough. But Bob destroyed us in that game. Bob had 17. We both had 5.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. The game ends when someone hits that.
Yeah. So if someone has a good round, they can get 8 to 9 points, and that's half of what you need for the game. So technically, you could go two rounds if someone just destroyed everybody else.
Okay.
The art, I mean, I thought they looked like the art and stuff looked good. I don't know what theme it was going. Like, it had this backstory theme game. Do you remember that at all?
No.
Okay. It was going for something I didn't look into it to see what it was actually talking about.
Okay.
But it was, it's just, I mean, for me, I just viewed it as a card game, and I did like how you could try and mess with certain things, but I would play it again, but it wasn't anything that I was, excited about. I would be excited about.
Okay.
Yeah.
That seemed like the brief little glance I got at as I was going up to the bar. It didn't look terribly interesting.
Yeah.
And so it kind of sounds that way. Like maybe play it once just to see, hey, the Decemberists kind of sort of made this.
Yeah.
And then just be like, all right.
Yeah. So the other game that I played is Knocked Mall. Is that what it's called?
Yes, Knock Mall.
So we screwed up stockpiling.
Okay.
When you stockpile, you have 2 cards that you need to play. You need to play the number on the stockpile, and then you have to show another number that is like, I have a 10 in my hand, and this 2 turns that 8 into a 10. You have to have the numbered card to be able to do that.
All right, so I haven't really played the game then.
Yeah.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, that was one of the things that we were kind of confused on and could never find.
The rule book was not great. I will also say that.
It says stockpile will be continued to be explained on page 11, and then no one read page 11 until I just now read page 11.
All right, well, it shouldn't just assume that we're going to keep reading.
No.
No. But, okay, so the other game was Knocked Mall. It's another roll and write that an app just got released for it.
Yes.
And this one, fairly simple. Like, there are dice that are rolled, and then the dice are numbered from 1 to 5 and a question mark, and then one of 5 different colors and then a question mark. And you're basically going to choose a color and then a number, and then on your little player board, starting with row H or column H, and then like sort of spreading out or like through or as long as it touches orthogonally, you have to mark whatever that number and color is. So if you grab a 2 of orange, you have to mark 2 orange out of this, like, because there are different colors. Like, I don't know, what would you call them? Because you've seen it a little, like just sections that are just strewn out, like anywhere from 1 to 6 spaces.
Yeah, it's like a abstract spread of colors.
I don't know how really a good way to describe that, but say there are 2 spaces on there, and you decided to take the 2 and the orange, then you can mark that 2 on there because it was a 2 of orange. But if you had a 3 of orange, you couldn't mark that in there because it has to be exactly the number. So if you had 4 orange spaces and you grab the 2 of orange, you can only mark 2 of them.
Yes.
You go for 30 rounds and you're doing this. If you get the question mark, that means the number is wild, so you can fill any amount from 1 to 5. And if you get the X on the colors, that is a wild. It's basically black. And it's you get to choose any color, but that counts as a wild. And you start out with 8 exclamation points, which marks how many wilds you have.
Okay.
Every time you use a wild, you have to mark out one of those. And once you get to 0 wilds, you can't use any more wilds.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, so that means if you decide to use a black X with a question mark, that's 2 wilds that you've used.
Yeah, which I've been playing it a fair amount, and like I always forget to keep track of that, and then I get late in the game, and
and then you see
shit, why can't I use these wilds?
You see the locked.
It's like,
symbol. Yeah, so it's something you really have to do, but can't fill in a space, then you just lose that. You just don't take that round.
Yeah,
so
which is real bad.
You'll have a lot of things where you're like, I have this 5 space, but I only have a 3 of yellow to fill it, and now there's 2 spaces on it, and then you're hoping for 5 to fill it and stuff like that. If you ever fill a column, you get a certain amount of points, and if you also do all of the colors, you get a certain amount of points too. And I've only played the solo game because I know it's slightly different if you're playing multiplayer. But like overall, it's just feels like another roll and write. It works well as an app, I think, because it's super quick that way.
Yeah, I've been really happy with it as an app.
But
well.
But the actual quality of the app is astounding, I think.
Yes.
Because not only do you have the game itself, and it has instructions on how to play the game like day one. It has a digital pad if you want to play it in real life. It has a dice if you want to like print and play copies and then use those as the dice. It has a 2-player mode on it to where it basically takes up half of each screen. So you can play on one phone, you can play 2 players. And then it also comes with 4 different maps or sheets as well.
Yeah, which you just showed me that right before we started recording. And now it's like, oh, well, now I need to go see how these other ones play.
And obviously it's just different combinations of things. But I think the fact that it came with all of that right out and it's quick, it looks well done. Very few glitches I have seen. It does make my phone run a bit hot, but...
I haven't noticed it making my phone run hot, which is nice.
Yeah.
One thing that, speaking of like it being a really well done app and things being really solid on it right out the gate, when you open the app for the first time and you hit mute to the sound and the music,
it stays muted.
It stays muted. You don't have to remember to do it every fucking time you load the app. Cough, cough, Gansron, clever.
Yeah.
Pretty darn clever.
Pretty darn clever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, I just think as the app, this one's really well done. I still haven't beat Jake's score of 40.
Oh my god!
I think that's what he got. I've gotten to 34. That is the highest that I've gotten.
I've gotten 22.
Of course you would. I've
played like 3 times. Fuck off, Jeff.
I've got a non-applicable.
Yes, you do. Like most games.
Yes.
But that's all that I will talk about and get in general
Right on.
until you guys start talking.
And then you'll start talking.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes. So, Jeff, how about you? What have you been playing?
I've been playing some lighter games over the weekend. Played Wordsy. I used 7 of the 8 letters on Stronghold, so I got like a 28, something like that.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah, it was a really good word. Played some more Pocket Mars, 2-player game. It was a learning for one of us, and still a pretty easy game to teach and quick to play. Played some Jump Drive because I got those new
The like plastic tokens.
yeah, and then they sent you like twice as many because they had like an off-cut print on them,
Gotcha.
and it was totally fine. I just now have twice as many. If I would only have gotten $14 worth,
Mm-hmm.
it would not be great.
Gotcha.
But having 2 sets is definitely worth it. But that is also $28, which might not be worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
But you
Okay.
only paid 14 for it.
But I only
so.
paid 14 for twice as much.
Well, there you go.
And then on Friday night after work,
Mhm.
I went over to your place.
Yes, you did.
And we played Lamentations of the Flame Princess,
Which is an RPG.
which is a paper pencil
Mhm.
or iPad, and that's it.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And
iPad and laptops.
yes, RPG, full on DM with David as the DM.
It was an intro scenario just to
Yes.
sort of introduce us and also be like, just because people die a lot in this game.
Mhm.
And
Correct.
so he was like, we're going to do an intro one, but then if you guys want to continue, then you can roll new characters or keep going with these or anything like that. So
Right on. And how was it?
So we each had 2 characters
Mhm.
because of the death
The
that
death.
would probably happen. We started. What was the name of the inn that we started in?
Dragon's Anus or something like
yeah,
that.
the Donkey's Ass.
Donkey's Ass.
It was I think it was the Donkey's Ass Inn.
Yes.
I don't remember where it came up, but it was definitely put into the scenario, into the session.
Mm-hmm.
We were. Oh, it was on the Facebook Messenger.
Yeah.
We were talking about Guy Fieri,
Guy Fieri was basically our
tavern owner.
tavern owner.
he had
Well, then.
he had flames on his tunic or something.
Flames on his
like,
tunic,
yeah,
bleached hair, and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yes. It
And
was,
he had a patented shot for a drink.
you just got 3.
Yeah.
Because you're like,
Well, yeah.
Give me 3.
Okay, so it was called the donkey sauce.
Donkey sauce.
Donkey sauce,
Yeah.
okay?
Would you like to guess what was in the drink?
I'm guessing donkey semen.
No.
Close.
Close. It was whiskey and mayonnaise.
Gross.
Yes,
Just
100%.
gross.
That was David was telling us after. He's like, as soon as I have it, I'm gonna have to have some gross sounding thing because apparently he has something called the donkey sauce or something like
Okay.
that. I don't know,
All right.
but
David did his research.
David did his research. He had a bunch of quotes that Guy Fieri would say, and he would randomly say them to us.
Yes. You chugged 3 of them and had to make a Constitution
Yeah.
test, which you passed.
Yeah. So on this one right here, it's if you roll, it's
You have to
called
roll
it's called
under?
rolling high under. So my Constitution was a 15, and I
Okay.
had a roll to assume that I didn't just throw 3 of those shots immediately up because I down 3 of them immediately.
Yeah.
And so I had to roll a 15 or under, and
Okay.
I rolled a 14. So I got as good. Basically, technically, you're supposed to roll under it. I think he's gonna slightly tweak it to where if you meet your ability,
Yeah.
it's fine. But I got as good as it, and so he's like, "You don't even look phased."
Not even a phase. My character was very impressed.
Yes, he was.
Yes. I was like, man.
Yeah. My character was my main character was Arthur Goldeming from Fury of Dracula.
Yes,
Yeah.
which was the one who was super punch Dracula.
Yes.
Mhm.
And so he wanted to. He believes that he fought Dracula, so he's going to go fight more Draculas.
His family
Yeah,
also does.
his family
We've
is
discovered.
yes
His
throughout. Yeah, and then the other guy was just his manservant that doesn't really say anything and is very neutral towards everything.
Yeah, haven't been able to figure out the manservant yet.
Yep.
I am Thaddeus Haxon, an ex Gore Basin player, lost an eye, and now he's a drunk.
Mm-hmm.
very handsome. Very, very nice eye scar that he has. And then
Mm-hmm.
and then my secondary guy is his coach / life coach.
Right. Yeah. And then we had someone was a Scottish lady,
Like 6'8".
6'8" with a
huge.
giant claymore. And then the other person was I don't even remember what Whitney's character was. It was
Very Victorian, highfalutin, kind of evil, it seemed.
yeah.
Person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But basically, we were supposed to explore a tower.
Go to a tower, get an egg,
Yep.
get back, get 5,000 silver to split amongst yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that pot kept growing proportionately to as many people kept dying.
Yes, 100%.
Yes.
There was a wizard who was trapped in a salt circle
Yep.
that really wanted us to. And
Yeah.
so many obsidianities were.
David was screaming at us about how much the wizard wanted out of that salt.
It was hilarious. He did a good job with that.
Yeah.
And then at one point
We did later discover, had we just immediately let out the wizard, he would have been like, "Oh, thanks," and then just like given us some gold, and then we would have been on our way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but we pissed him off so much that we would have been murdered.
As soon as he started yelling, if we had touched it, he would have killed everybody.
Oh god.
Yeah.
It was very high level.
And then at one point so earlier in the thing we had at the end there was a caterpillar fight.
There was gambling going on.
There was gambling and it was caterpillar fight.
Yeah.
I bet I like because my dude's supposed to be rich, like
Wealth and privilege.
wealth and privilege.
Yep.
That
That was the name of his two brass knuckles.
my name is Brass Knuckles. But someone bet on it and they're like, I'm gonna do like 10 copper,
Which is 1 silver, but I put 10 copper
No,
pieces
you
in.
did that, yeah. And then someone was like, I'm gonna put 2 copper in it, and I was like 5 silver, blah.
Yeah.
And I ended up winning that bet. And then
The description of the caterpillar fight was quite nice.
it was pretty great. Yeah.
He was apparently rolling dice of
Yeah.
some fashion.
Yeah. And then later on, my character had to basically beat somebody in a rock paper scissors contest.
Mm-hmm.
So
He was a
David, and I-
ghost.
yeah, he was a ghost, and in order to unlock a force field off a door or something,
Mm-hmm.
and so David and I proceeded to play rock paper scissors. Except he got tired of it because
You tied
we
three
tied
times.
3 times in a row.
Jesus.
And then he's like, all right, fine, we're just gonna roll for it. We rolled. We both rolled 11s
on a D20.
on a D20. And so then we rolled again. I lost, which I should have fought for because that should have just been 1 out of the 3 losses.
Like a 2 out of 3 on
Yeah,
that one.
and we needed 2 out of 3 for victories, but he didn't. And so the other ghost disappeared, and then I became a ghost because I died.
And he was trapped in the room.
Yeah.
And then my life coach challenged him to, then the manservant rolled a bunch of dice to be like, hey, if the manservant would play you in rock, paper, scissors to like swap spots.
Yeah.
Or it could have just been like, now the manservant's dead and your ghost is free.
Yeah.
It's not like you come back.
No, yeah. Exactly.
So my life coach challenged you into Blood Bowl, and David was like, all right, whoever rolls Snake Eyes first loses. And Zach's first roll, Snake Eyes.
Immediately lost.
Yep. But
And
we
I was
unlocked the door.
Yeah, we unlocked the door.
But we wouldn't get any more fun vampire facts.
No, we will later.
Okay.
So then my manservant was basically quiet.
Yes.
He didn't really talk, but
No.
then anytime someone asked him to do a decision, I'd roll a dice, and depending on what I thought in my head versus what came out, he would either do it or just flip him off and not do it.
That happened a couple times.
Yeah. But then we found a telescope that we eventually
It was like coal powered.
Yeah.
And then gunpowder powered.
Yeah. And then also egg powered.
And then egg powered.
egg crystal powered.
Yeah.
But once like you looked into it and it was like it was looking to an alien world with all these like mossy creatures.
I did not look
No,
into
you
it.
looked you sort of I thought you looked into it in the beginning.
I don't think I did.
Okay. You did you looked at it at one
I
specific
looked
point.
at it later.
Yeah. So it was Whitney's character who was looking into it, and then when we finally got it powered on,
It was like a laser beam coming out.
yeah, it
and
was
then-
like a laser beam. She was looking into the telescope. It transported her to the alien planet as a pile of mush,
yeah, just like
bloody pulp stuff,
Yeah.
and then Jeff's character got to watch.
I was like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then I went up there and looked, and then I'm like, oh God.
So Whitney's character died by being eaten by those moss creatures on another planet.
And so I'm just witnessing this blob that used to be Whitney
Yeah.
just getting like ripped apart by all of these weird mossy creatures.
Yeah,
Haunting.
it was haunting. Yeah. I forget what happened after that. I think we just we went downstairs.
We went downstairs and we had a combat for the first time.
Yep.
A cave spider came down. Someone whiffed. The
Mhm.
cave spider hit the giant Scottish woman once and put her at 1 hit point. Because you hit 0 and you're just dead. There's no resurrection. There's no quick healing. There's
no saving spells.
There's no
nothing.
There's no cleric. You are healed with a lesser healing spell. It's
No.
like you heal by going and bandaging and laying in a bed for weeks to heal.
And then Whitney's Whitney's other character
Oh yeah.
summoned up a giant tentacle creature, but we don't know what it does.
No.
Because after she summoned it, you fucking shot that spider in the eye and killed it.
I rolled a 20 and then I rolled max damage and David was just like, yeah, it's dead. How would you like it to die? And I was like, well, it went in through the eye, blew all those out, and then it came right out the ass.
The spinnerets.
The spinnerets, and so it just shot web everywhere. It was made of stone, so it just rattled around inside.
Yep. And then we were like, you know what?
Let's not fight. No, then we found a potion room.
We found a potion room, yeah.
Did a bunch of funny things.
Mhm.
Because you could taste it and be like, or you could drink it and then something would happen.
Yeah. Oh, also, my character, before he died, we found bottles of wine, and while they were looking at it to try and figure it, I literally took it, smashed the top open on the side, and it just started, and I drank the entire thing.
Yep.
Glass shards and all.
Yep. No ill effects.
No ill effects, guys.
Well, you're a ghost now.
It was really delicious wine.
I'm sure it was.
But those potions, we drank various ones. My manservant has alopecia now, and dogs do not like him. Dogs hate him.
Dogs were quite reactive to him.
Yep.
And then he is now hairless.
Yes. I was the only one to actually drink them. Everybody else was like, I smell like drink them, not taste it.
I think we ended up just taking all of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yep.
Just give them to peasants or something.
Yeah.
Just be like, hey, what's gonna happen?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we decided to leave basically after that because there was some more stuff that we were like, I feel
there
like
was like a whole basement we could have explored,
Yeah.
and at that point we were like, we've got what we need, and you almost died. We're out.
Yeah.
So what's the general theme / setting of this
17th century Europe
with weird magic
Magic.
and potions? and
Yeah.
shit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, with weird stuff.
Yeah.
Are there fantasy races and creatures, or
Maybe
is it
a
just
little
basically all
bit.
humans?
We weren't playing with any of them.
Yeah.
But-
Not that we were aware of.
Yeah.
Not that we are aware of.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how was character creation? Pretty smooth.
Yeah, it's
We-
like
we-
stat pool.
Yeah, stat pool sort of stuff. Like we did he generated a bunch of shit and then we sort of rolled a die and then that determined what our stat numbers were and then we allocated them from wherever we needed to.
And he's been adjusting the rule set as we've been playing,
Yeah.
Okay.
or as he's been reading. So he's changing some other skill tests and stuff around to be a little more useful, and some other modifiers in there. And
Make it just better for us.
Yeah.
So
All right. Do you guys have a date for your next session?
Saturday?
Saturday.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
But he asked for me and Whitney to create new characters. Whitney's just gonna make 2 new ones, I think, because her other guy was super only cared about the woman, but she died.
Oh.
So
Gotcha.
and mine, basically, my manservant's gonna write back to the family, and then another person from the family is gonna come here, and that he's gonna say that Arthur was killed by vampires, and then a new person gonna come out, and so I'm pretty sure the family's entire obsession on vampires has just because the manservant has been just talking about vampires to them,
And
Yeah.
I love it.
yeah, and so yeah, what did you think of it, Jeff?
I thought it was good. It was an interesting story. I'm waiting for all the weird shit to really start. I
Mhm.
mean, there was some weird shit in there, but I'm really waiting for the real weird
The
shit.
real woods, yeah.
The real good stuff.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. I'm glad that Whitney and Lily are there because they do a lot of the role playing,
Mm-hmm.
so it's not like I have to do much in that regard.
Yes.
I just get to make stupid comments,
Yeah.
and that's what
That's your character.
that's my character, and
Yeah.
that works.
Yep.
So I'm gonna give it at least a couple another to see if at least 1 or 2 more sessions to see if I want to stick with it or not. We have Jen's gonna be joining us too,
Yes.
so we're gonna have another person.
Yes.
So we'll see how that goes.
Right on. For myself, at game night, I played a couple of games. I played a quick 4-player that turned into 3-player game of herbalism that Andrew and I ended up just calling a tie on because he had to leave. And then we played a big 8-person game of Most Wanted,
Mm-hmm.
which is an interesting game. I think 8 might be a bit too much. It kind of
I think that maxed out players on that one.
that was max player count. I didn't care for it as much with 8 as I did with like the 4 or 5 we played with the last time we'd played it.
I would agree with that. Yeah,
Nick ended up winning. Nick L won
through failure.
One of the 6 actions that was on the board was worst hand.
Shantytown?
The Shantytown, the worst hand wins. And every time it got to him, he was like, Shantytown, I have the worst hand. Shantytown, I have the worst hand. And
you get 3 points every time you do that.
and he just rode that horse all the way to the finish line.
Now, technically, I know you can duel someone. You can choose to be like, I want to duel Nick, and then whoever has the best hand off of that thing.
I think that's one of the action cards, though. I think there has to be a card that, like, an action, like...
It wasn't one of the ones on the bottom?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Oh, that's right, because you did...
I didn't do the base set of actions
Yeah.
because I was in a hurry to teach the game, and so I was like, I'm going to leave some of the stuff like dueling that I don't exactly remember how it works. I'm going to leave that just out. And...
Well, don't do that next time.
yeah, next time it might be good so that it's like, hey, Nick, you're racing ahead here. We're going to start dueling you in your hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was okay. It was an okay one to round out the end of the night. It's a pretty meh game. I don't think it's... I was hoping that with 8, like, at a game night, that it'd be, like, a lot more fun and, like, lighthearted trash talk would come out, but really people are just seem kind of bored with it pretty quick. So
yeah,
I don't know if I'm going to bring it out anymore. It might be one that I keep around for like, oh, it's a house party. Maybe like 4 or 5 people want to play something. Here, play.
I would say bring it once more and try it with like just 4 or 5 people.
Yeah.
See if
Let's say maybe a house party on like the Friday of GABF.
Yeah, like my housewarming party, which Jeff may or may not be there for. Just come late at night, real tired and real drunk.
I have no idea. Depends on what day I work.
just be like, I don't want to
Do
work
you
on
know
Friday.
you're going to be stuck working at GABF this year?
Everyone works at GABF.
So I need to quit before GABF.
Or you need to be like, hey, I need to work on, like, this is my availability to work at GABF.
So that was game night. And then over the weekend, I got to play 2 different games of Brass.
Mm-hmm.
So the first game was Megan and I and Paul and Andrew the Hater. And the teach on that one took forever because although I played the game a couple times, including the one of the very first near production copies of the Roxley edition, it had been over a year. Like I looked up the video for that one, like to watch Edwards teach on heavy cardboard. It was like, oh, this video was over a year ago. Well, then that explains why I don't remember a lot of this. So it took me a little bit of scanning through the rule book just to kind of refresh everything. And then teach it to Paul and Andrew. But it really clicked after that, and it actually played really fast. By the time we finished the rules expedition and started playing, it took probably under 2 hours. It was a decent scoring game, all in the 90s.
You guys were fairly close. Who ended up winning that one?
Paul beat Megan on a tiebreaker.
Okay.
It was like 97, 97, 93, and 90, I think, were the 4 scores. And he beat Megan by a mile on the income one. Paul was way up on income from anybody. Then it's like that game went well. We played pretty much everything correct. The only thing we missed was the last 8 cards in the deck actually get played. But then turned right around and last night, Sunday night, had you and Leander come up, and we played another 4-player game.
Yes, we did.
The teach went a little bit better on that one. Still not perfect. I think there were a couple times when I could have been more clear for Leander's sake. But we played, and it was a really good game. I thought everybody really did a good job with their overall strategies and kind of going in different directions. Zach basically sealed the victory for himself at the end of the Canal era when he brutally leg swept Megan and just pushed her down a hill, basically.
Pretty much. So in this one, like you build cotton mills or whatever, but in order to turn them in, you either have to send them to the far distant market, or you have to send them to an unflipped port. It doesn't have to be your port. And if like Megan was like she was building 2 ports, and then on her next turn she was going to
send 2 mills to her 2 ports, because important to note, the distant markets, as you use them, they decrease in value until they eventually just close. Like you've inundated the market with cotton, and so you can only sell them locally.
And they were closed. So I had one unflipped mill, and I had no ports out, and I was like, I was gonna build a port, but then I was like, but Megan has 2 unused ones, so I built a road to connect my shit to everybody else's. And turn order is based on who spends the least. So I just made sure I was the last person on that round. I made sure I spent the least to go first, and then on my next turn, I built another cotton mill, and then sent them both to Megan's ports.
Yeah,
and also she said right before that, she's just like, man, I'm gonna be real angry if somebody uses this port. And then
that's a good idea.
Well, and then as soon as I build these things, like I was like, I have to make sure I have some stuff. She's like, oh no. And I was just like, Megan, you can get real angry with me.
She said something like he did something. She goes, yeah, you're gonna be a jackass, aren't you? And then he did it, and she was pretty pissed.
Well, because she didn't realize I was gonna. She thought I was only gonna use one of them. She didn't realize I was gonna build a cotton mill and then use both of them.
Yeah,
which shot me up. And
it basically gave Zach an extra 10 points and took 10 points from Megan. At least 10 points. I mean, it probably gave him more like 12 or 14 and cost her probably 12 or 14, which would have put them very close. Megan ended up in second and third. Tied for third. But still pretty close. We were all three well over 100.
So it was 106. Adrian was like 113
or something.
112, I think. And I was 133.
Yeah. So, and having those things flipped and stuff gave him a good start going into rail phase that he basically just carried that momentum.
Yeah.
So he chopped Megan's legs out from under her and then used her corpse to just vault to the lead.
As like a bouncy castle.
Yeah, well, you know how you remember that game of Founders where I was always like, I'm always like a turn behind, like half a turn behind. This one I was like, I was a half a turn ahead of everybody, and so they were setting
basically
up.
Everything.
I was like, and I'm gonna do. Every time I was like, oh, I want to do this. Nobody was able to block me to do it, and I was like, yeah, I get to do this now. Fuck you, yeah.
Right.
But yeah, 2 really good plays of Brass. It's a fantastic game. Holy shit!
I definitely I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. Mainly because of it. It is the fact that I was able to do something like that. That I was able to see. Oh, if I take advantage of Megan here, I can vault myself up. And I did, and it worked out.
It was great.
It was great. And I do like how the turn order changes on money. So if you spent like that turn where I spent a whole bunch of shit there, I was going last the next turn, and I was like, I am fine with this. And I like that we were able to do different things. Like I didn't build a single fucking port in the game. I just used other people's, or I just sent shit to the foreign market. And this is like one of the few instances where it seems like you would want to use money other than cardboard coins. We were using the iron clays that you got with the Kickstarter, and because you're stacking that money on the player like order thing, it made it better to have a better visual on how much money everybody has spent. So I saw a picture of the previous version of Brass. Oh my god, it was gross.
I think it was pretty old. Older style.
I want to say like 2000s.
Yeah,
but it is a garbage can of fire.
I only remember the cover from like BGG. I don't think I've ever
cover
seen it.
Miles better than the actual board art.
All right.
Oh,
are we talking like Choo-Choo Game bad, or
I want to say it's worth just because like the train games are like whatever, we don't care. Like this one is just like it's an entire board. That's what it is. It's an entire board of gross. But this new one looks a lot better.
Okay.
Now I wasn't saying the new one was bad.
I was very confused for a second.
No.
Only you would be confused.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, new one looks good.
Yeah.
So
even the dark board
whatever.
that is hard to, in my poorly shittily lit dining room.
Literally, there's only one thing you could misinterpret, but it was very easy to not do that. So
So all of the complaints about the board being too dark are either people who have got a legitimate misprint where it was actually accidentally too dark, which I saw a couple photos where I think even Roxley was like, yeah, it shouldn't look like that. But most of them are people who apparently just play in basements under candlelight and are shocked when they can't make out what's on the board. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how I'd feel about it like a couple games after, because I definitely know that it's not like the theme doesn't feel pasted on. It feels well integrated enough.
Yes.
But it's for me at least, a boring theme. Even if it's well introduced into it, it's still like, yeah, but it's 19th century industry.
Look, Zach, I don't think there's hardly anyone on the planet who was like,
no, there are people that are like, yeah, I love building industries.
I mean, I'd like those kind of games, but it's not because that theme super interests me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can see the old board really well.
It is very bright. Good contrast.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that's what we've been playing.
Yes.
Jeff, I understand there is another installment of the bloody 20 minutes this week.
Maybe keep it under 20 minutes this time, Jeff.
It wasn't 20 minutes last time.
I know. I don't think it's hardly ever been 20 minutes except for maybe like finals, or tournaments.
Yeah.
But the bloody several minutes.
Yes. So I got the second training camp game in. I was playing against of Faith, Power, and Dark Elf Glory, which is a reference to a band, I think.
Okay.
Second Dark Elf team in a row. Also third ever play against Dark Elves. This one started off with him getting fame. Also, he had not played tabletop Blood Bowl in like 20 years, but has played online a lot, so he was still familiar with most of it. He ended up getting fame. We had a nice weather game. Kickoff was good. Nothing. I won the kickoff. Nothing particularly savage happened, except I continue to be the crowning champion of knockouts. And throughout the first half, I was slowly trekking my way to the other end, smashing regularly, and got no casualties. And I got some serfs, which one was a casualty, but he apothecaried it into reserves, and then 4 KOs. So I got 5 Dark Elves off the pitch. 4 of them were KOs. One was a casualty that came back in. Spent a turn trying to hand off the ball to a Saurus, which is not easy because they need like a 5 to pick up the ball, to catch the ball, a 6 to catch the ball, even maybe. No, that's an accurate. Yeah, it's a 5. So I only really had one turn to be able to do that. Failed, picked the ball back up, went in with a score with a skank on turn 8. He had some inducements, so he got pretty much all of his guys back in. Second half was a little more interesting. He had on his team an assassin. He's got a weird Dark Elf team. 2 blitzers, 1 witch elf, 1 assassin, 1 runner.
Okay.
Usually it's 1 witch elf, 4 blitzers, get the other stuff later, never get an assassin.
Okay.
Assassins have shadowing and stab. Shadowing is if you try and move away from him,
He can follow.
he has to make an edge roll, and he just gets a free, I'm moving in the space that you just left. And then he just does it over and over and over. When you are edge 4, that's really easy to shadow.
I'm sure.
And then he has stab, which is kind of like a mini chainsaw. It's you don't need to roll and see if you stab yourself, but you just roll against armor with no bonuses, and then that's it. You just get an armor. You don't have to roll to block, which can be useful.
Is it still illegal, like a chainsaw?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not a no. It is not a secret weapon, so you do not get banned for it. You can just use it whenever you want.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And the nice thing about the runner, it has dump off whenever you declare a block against him. Before you throw the block, he gets to try and do a free like short pass to try and get rid of the ball. It's useful once you get Nerves of Steel on there, because then you don't have any negatives to the dump off. Like if he's surrounded and gets like -5 to the roll, it's like, all right, you got to roll a 6. With Nerves of Steel, no negatives. And then you give him Strong Arm, which makes it so you can do a long pass with dump off, which is insane. Strong Arm basically like ups the range, I think.
Yeah.
We'll see how that works out. Downside is the assassin and the runner all have armor 7, and the witch elf has armor 7, so that's just another armor 7 person for that I got to hit over and over again. Ended up getting 2 more scores with Sauruses in the end zone with a successful handoff, giving them touchdowns. So I scored with 2 Saurai this game. My opponent, also named Jeff, did not get any scores. But the only casualty to come up in this game was he was able to get a block against one of my skinks with his witch elf, who gets a 2-die block because my skinks are strength 2. He got a double push, and then he got a skull, both down. Neither of us had block. He took the both down. The skink and the witch elf both casualtied each other out of the game.
Oh, wow.
Damn.
The only casualty in the game was a witch elf double both down. So yeah, that was the Smashing Saurai versus of Faith, Power, and Dark Elf Glory. On the like final turn that he had to be able to do anything, where you just set 3 people up on the line. Of course, I got a blitz, and didn't do anything because all my guys were just set up on the back line.
Right.
I wasn't too worried about.
It's like, I get a blitz. I'm not going to do anything.
I'm gonna move everyone up one.
Yeah.
And then he had pretty bad luck throughout the whole game. But I think I started counting my KOs. I think I ended at 9 KOs for the game.
Damn.
Which is a lot.
Yeah.
Yep. The first round of season 7 is rolled. The new season started on Monday, so we are in full-on Blood Bowl season. My Smashing Sarai will be playing against Magic Missiles, which is a longtime player. I don't remember his name now. Doesn't matter. I think it's David. I think it's another David.
So many Davids.
So many Davids.
So hopefully pretty easy match for you.
I'm going to get 250k in inducements, but almost his whole team has block. I don't have block on anyone except one guy so far, so that's going to be pretty tough. He's got a lot of dudes with a lot of skills because he is a freshly drafted Season 4 Orc team, so he has lost a little bit. He only has 3 blitzers for this match, but he still has block on a lot of dudes. Fortunately, only 1 tackle, but he has some guard. It's going to be tough. Not going to be an easy game. No easy games in Blood Bowl.
No.
Right on.
And I'm in the same division as Ant, Bullshit Paul, and David.
Good luck with that.
Yes.
Now that Bloody Minutes is over, let's jump over and
It's like
talk.
9 minutes? Bloody 9 minutes?
Bloody 9 minutes?
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah. But let's jump over to some news and Kickstarters.
First up in news, Adam Savage from Tested, no longer Mythbusters fame, went to Weta and saw some really cool shit. Specifically, some amazing miniature terrain.
Yes.
This is a YouTube video, not really an article that we normally read, but holy shit.
Yeah. The this terrain is fucking redonkulous.
So apparently he was there last year, and
Yes.
this guy was trying to recreate the labyrinth from the labyrinth in miniature, and has done that apparently.
Yes.
That is a different video. But this one is all like insane, like holy shit level insane amount of detail, and everything can be used to just make something else look like something else.
Also, isn't it like it's just 18 feet long now or something like that?
18 feet long.
Like the entire thing he has set up.
Oh yeah, it's insanely huge.
Yeah. They've released a lot of this as 3D STL files, with more hopefully going to be coming. So you can actually get some of this stuff. But yeah, this video is ridiculous. It's also really funny. At one point, Adam Savage is like playing with pieces, and I feel like the guy got very antsy about it. Like you kind of see him like taking them from Adam, like as Adam was grabbing them, like no,
no, don't, no touching. No touching.
What I really like is like all of his trees. They're supposed to be like tree protectors, so they're also like tree raptors or like tree, like just tree animals. So they look like an animal, but you know, as a tree, and it looks really cool.
Yeah.
Like topiaries.
No.
Sure. But yeah, it's really cool. And apparently there is a Hagglethorn Hollow that's coming to Kickstarter, which is kind of what this is based or turned into a little bit. That'll be released September 26th. So we'll probably talk about that in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Sure.
Take a look at the video. It's only like 17 minutes long. It seems to be more like wargaming terrain.
Or RPG.
Yeah, it doesn't really have the like grids and stuff built into all of them. But
Yeah, but I mean, you don't have to have that.
no.
If it's,
But I'm just gonna sit here and watch the video now.
It's really cool.
I know, right?
We'll throw the video into the show notes over on milehighgameguys.com with
Yeah.
all of the other news and Kickstarter show notes.
Yes.
So.
Next up, Stronghold Games, or whatever they're going to be called sooner or later.
It's still going to be Stronghold.
It's still gonna be Stronghold.
Yes. They're
It's just their own, a subsidiary of blah, blah.
Okay. They're announcing 2 new releases for October. Australia. Australia. I think we talked about this a while ago.
Yeah.
It's sort of like an alternate history 1930s, but there's like Cthulhu
Yes, it's Cthulhu Mythos. It's basically a update of Studying Emerald, a old Martin Wallace game. And this is like the sequel, so it's like it takes place 50 years later, and the old ones are coming back in Australia. And so you're adventurers and explorers and 1930s trying to fight Cthulhu, like so many other games.
But this one's
That's not the important one, though.
no.
It's more like a Euro style.
Yeah,
one
this
of those.
is a military economic adventure game.
Uh-huh.
We'll see what that is. But Terraforming Mars Colonies
Another expansion.
coming in October.
This
Yes.
is 4? Yes.
I believe so. We've talked about
Or-
colonies a little bit previously.
Yes.
Because there were some hints about it. Essentially, it's going to add new places for you to colonize that aren't necessarily suitable for full-on terraforming, like Mars and Venus, but you can certainly set up a little fucking colony. So like the Callisto Penal Mine colony that you can build in base terraforming Mars. Now, there's multiple other colonies that you can set up to do a variety of things.
I guess there's going to be a new fleet, like trade fleet
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
That's your fleet going in between all these different colonies and such.
Correct.
49 new project cards. I assume they'll be a little more general than the previous ones. I wonder
I'm
if
not sure. They
Yeah.
might be more specific to the stuff that this adds, like trade fleets and things like that.
Yeah. We'll see.
5 new corps, 11 colony tiles, and yeah, I'm
Okay.
sure we'll hear all about that as it gets closer and people start putting out some demos and previews and shit like that
Yep.
of it. More Terraforming Mars, hooray!
Next up in news, clearly WizKids read my mind last week when I was like, whatever happened to Couriers? Because now they're re-releasing all of Couriers all in one, just because they're done.
And what's it called, Jeff?
Couriers, Quiltimate Quedition, Quiltimate
Quiltimate, yeah.
Quedition.
Warriors Ultimate Quedition.
Because of course,
yeah. Yeah, it is. It is fucking everything Couriers. 340 dice, 211 cards. Damn.
Some of the the first expansion that came out for the game was like super small, and then unfortunately nothing else ever used it, and so it was so small that it wasn't worth putting in there because nothing else ever referenced it.
Right.
Where the later expansions had a little bit more stuff that would happen in them.
Okay.
You could even get like items and things, which they all have dumb names for, which they've all listed at the bottom. The Courier competing for the eyes of Quiana, the Empress of
Iridia.
Coridia, Druidia. Quiddity.
Oh, she's Druish. Okay.
Druish. Yes. No price. But coming soon. If you need dice.
If you had no Couriers and you're like, I want all of Couriers,
Yeah.
Yes.
But what if I own all of Couriers and I just want the box to keep all of Couriers?
then buy it and then throw away the inside and then put in your own stuff.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah, just throw away all of the game that it came with.
Yes.
All right. I can do that.
Next up,
Fantasy Flight has announced a new expansion for the Game of Thrones, the board game, which is Mother of Dragons.
Yeah, which we talked about.
Yep. And now they have also announced that they are going to be releasing a big fucking player mat that is a huge map that now includes a good chunk of Essos. And
It is 3 feet by 3 feet.
yeah, it is substantial and looks real cool.
So basically a huge neoprene mat for all of your wonderful Game of Thrones playing
Mm-hmm.
requirements. It's got all the pieces or all the board pieces that you would ever need on here.
Looks nice. And neoprene.
You can pre-order it now, and it'll be releasing very soon. I don't see any specific dates about when it will actually be out.
Can you attempt to click on the Order Now button?
I cannot.
That Order Now button is fake. It is an image. You cannot actually order now.
Or online through our website today. Oh, over here on the side I can for $39.95
Aha! There it is.
It's not too bad for a giant mat.
for a 3x3 neoprene mat.
I feel like the mat I got for Champions was 25 or something like that,
Fair enough.
or maybe 30. And so, yeah. And assuming it looks vivid and all that, it looks like this picture, except giant.
It's huge.
Yeah.
But if you really like Game of Thrones, I guess that's a good thing to get.
Mm-hmm.
I assume you can just play without the expansion stuff in there.
Yeah, that's what I would assume too.
But I
Yeah.
mean, if you get the expansion, just don't play 8 players, and then you'll be fine.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm really curious. We'd actually somebody had messaged me fairly recently about, what our thoughts were on Mother of Dragons. And I was like, we would love to know. We want to play it.
Yes, we do.
But nobody has it yet. But we all really like Game of Thrones. It's one of the few area control games that I'm like, yeah, this is real good.
It's that theme.
That theme just fits so well.
It's weird how theme can just help you connect with the game.
I've never denied that. Never once denied that.
Moving on. Games Workshop is trying to get them while they're young because they're launching a school program kit available for teachers for after-school activities using Warhammer products. The Warhammer School Clubs.
Yeah. Which, oh my God. It's kind of ridiculous. It includes like multiple books. Read this first book, which introduces the club structure and advice on how to run the club.
To the teacher.
Yeah. 5 student officer positions, the Lord Commander, Club Herald, Lore Master, Master Artificer, and the Master Architect. School progress report templates to check student grades, a club charter, and a parent permission paper.
I mean, I'm reading through all of this, and I don't see much murder going on here, so...
It comes with some starter sets, the 40K and Age of Sigmar starter sets. Just throw the Age of Sigmar one in the garbage. It's fine. It comes with some books that are set in that era. Some basic paint stuff, paint sets.
Yeah, the curriculum book actually sounds pretty awesome. It includes a sample weekly lesson plan for the first 6 weeks. Week 1 and the 2 games and their factions are introduced. There's a discussion on the morality and ethics of war in general and the morality of each of the Warhammer games factions. Students are then asked to follow a flowchart of questions for each game to determine which faction they want to play. In week 2, students are taught how to use miniature building tools and are walked through building their first miniature. And the next 2 weeks are spent learning painting techniques. The final 2 weeks of lessons plans are for learning to play each of the games. And it comes with a bunch of paint stuff and things like that. They're really just trying to get this is like cigarette companies just marketing a very addicting
1,000% yes
to children.
Very much so, because this game is very expensive, and all of it then they need to be bought for by their parents.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds kind of awesome.
Yeah, it's cool, but like builds club, like why is one guy got to build all the scenery? That's like the worst part. Just give that to the real nerd.
Well, it's just one of the officers' positions. I assume he gets to delegate to the rest of the class to help him build scenery.
Yes.
He's just in charge of the scenery.
Yes. And you're thinking there's going to be more than 5 people in this club?
I don't know. Depends on how nerdy the school is.
Yeah. Kids these days.
Way
more nerdy than back in the day.
Yes.
Or it's the teachers are just like, ugh, fine.
I think that's what they were back in the day, too.
Yeah.
A little bit. Next up on news.
Next up, Stonemaier Games has announced Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig. I think I had sort of mentioned this in our interview, that there was something really close to happening. Or at least, I don't remember asking about it, but I remember looking at it. And then this is that thing.
Yeah. So this is a competitive, partnership-driven tile drafting castle building game. 3 to 7 players with a 2-player variant, 45 to 60 minutes for $45. So basically, if you were to take Between Two Cities, which is a game that has existed for a while from Stonemaier.
Yes.
And then you were to take Castles of Mad King Ludwig, which is a game that has existed for a while with Bezier, and you just smushed them together really hard, then you get Between Two Castles. If this had been announced in April, I would not have believed it.
I don't know. You believe that Fields of Mars
Fields
game?
of Mars. Yes, I did.
Marls.
So essentially, yeah, you're building castles for the Mad King, but you're doing them between two city styles where you're cooperating with the players to your left and your right.
Yeah.
And I assume, just like in Between Two Cities, it's going to be whichever, your personal final score is the lower of the 2 castles you build.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I'm just assuming it's going to be the crazy castles. So.
Yes, the ridiculous Mad King Ludwig castles. It sounds awesome. I'm going to be honest. Like, I've always thought Between Two Cities sounded interesting. I've never had a chance to play it. And then just throwing in Castles of Mad King Ludwig makes it sound even cooler. So, yeah, pretty excited.
Yeah. A bunch of reviews launched the same day as this announcement.
Yes. Hooray, embargoes.
Yeah. But it's still not out yet.
Did you guys mention that it's yet another game to be coming out with the game trays?
Oh, I did not see that. There it is, 4-piece game trays custom insert.
I do remember reading that, but I did not remember that today.
Yeah.
Yeah, Game Trays does good work.
I'm glad that enough people were complaining about inserts, and one person was like, I can make good inserts for you guys. And then eventually people were like, all right, let's just hire him to have these so people stop bitching at us.
Yeah, until they come out with expansions that no longer fit the vacuum formed game trays, and then you're just fucked. Like,
Well, that's not his fault.
no, not necessarily. But yeah, this will release October 19th. Like I said, for $45 MSRP. So pretty reasonable price too, because it'll definitely be cheaper than that eventually
Yes.
on the interwebs.
Next up in news, Raiatea, I think I said that right,
Yeah.
is in a little bit of hot water on their recent Kickstarter.
Yeah, so we talked about this fairly recently, the big Quind Games Kickstarter that includes a bunch of other games and stuff. And I didn't know enough about what was going on to comment then, but people who do know a little bit about Pacific Islander culture and things
And French Polynesia and
yeah, have pointed out that the character on the cover of the box is pretty clearly a Maori fighter doing part of the Haka dance. Meanwhile, all of the gameplay elements and everything in the game is more French Polynesia 3,000 miles to the east. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Little bit of
that classic
bad luck.
ignorant person of being like, oh, it's Pacific Islander, then it's Pacific Islander. So you can
That's
sort of
it.
just pick and choose from parts of them, and it just is all that.
Yeah.
So
they are rightfully getting a little bit called out about it. It sounds like their fix that they've decided to go with is to offer a PDF printout of an alternate cover art that they're currently working on.
yeah.
And then they will look in the second edition.
Well, second printing
or second printing to change the cover.
to change the cover.
But
But you know, the low rent game company, so on the boxes that are already printing and shit, they can't really afford.
Of their Kickstarter that's
Yes.
going on right now.
Yes.
yeah, that presumably wouldn't have started production because
I mean-
you know you got to wrap up your Kickstarter to know how many numbers you're ordering.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if Kickstarters weren't being used to just pad game pre-orders that for a game that's already getting made, no matter what the Kickstarter does. This is why Kickstarter. This is where Kickstarter can go wrong. Because if they were actually doing the Kickstarter because that was the only way this game was getting made, the game wouldn't be made until they knew the Kickstarter was like done and successful, and they knew how many orders. So that means it shouldn't have started printing, so they could just change cover art. But
These are all like Essen releases, so these had to have clearly been already printing, I guess.
yeah,
Or in the process of printing, yes.
Yeah.
Because that does take a while to.
Because they're the master print
Yeah.
edition games. So yeah, good job there, guys.
I think it shows, you know, because I know various people have said, hey, when you're doing something that isn't your own culture, why not ask somebody from that culture to make sure everything's okay?
Is this
Yeah,
good?
who's actually well versed
Just
in it.
put it
And
put it in front of them, and then they're just like, "That's really racist."
Yeah. But I think it just helps show you should probably do that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. If you're gonna first, like, it's tough because I do mention that they actually like really tried to consult with the Heritage Institute of Raiatea for the actual gameplay and a lot of that. But somewhere along the way, somebody was like, slap a vaguely, Pacific Island photo on the front and it's all the same, when no, it's not at all.
Nope.
So it's tough because like it seems like in one area they tried to do the right thing, but in another area they just completely glossed over
yes.
it, which is unfortunately all too common when you're a
I mean,
kid
I would
and
just assume
American
it was
designers do-
well, I would assume it's something, and obviously this is an assumption, which is sort of what happened here. But
irony.
Yeah, I would figure, like, for the rituals and making sure the language and stuff, they're like, we don't know that, but then someone was like, all right, we need a cover. It's just like, someone's like, here's a cover of this guy. for, and then they're like, oh,
Good.
the person sold it with their eyes, which I always tell people to do it with a lie. But yeah.
They mentioned somewhere in this thread, I kind of lost it when I was looking through. Their initial answer was like, "Oh, we're really sorry, we didn't mean to offend anyone." Which then a lot of people were like, "That's kind of not the point." Because of course you didn't, because you're not dicks, but you can still fuck up even if you don't mean to offend people. But they mentioned something about that they were working on the art and they looked at a bunch of different covers and this one really stood out and was.
I mean, which is true.
It does stand out.
It's just wrong.
It's just quite wrong. Yeah, the chosen sketch was well drawn and above all else was different from the more standard covers, nothing more, nothing less. It was never our intention to offend anyone.
Right.
It's like, yeah, I mean, I'm sure they didn't mean to offend anyone, but you can still offend people even when you don't mean to.
Yep.
So we'll see how they ultimately address this long term, because people are still pretty upset that they're like, PDF doesn't really fix it. So we'll see if it keeps being an issue and where it goes from there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's it for news.
That is it for news.
On to the wide, tiny world of Kickstarters. First up in Kickstarters is a Guildmaster. Almost funded, 53.6 thousand of its $54,000 goal. 1,100 backers and 2 weeks left to go, and you can pledge this one for $49.
Yep. So this is coming from Good Games USA, who were behind Unfair. It came out with them and Simon kind of working together. It is a 2 to 4 player game that takes 60 to 120 minutes, where you are competing to build the best fantasy adventurers guild in this fantasy town. So you're
We have huge, massive,
the biggest player screens I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to cover an entire fucking board.
Yeah, they're substantial.
I mean, they look
yeah,
good.
it's basically like the front of your guild hall.
like a building.
So basically you have different cards that are different adventurers who have different skills that you use as you do different skill checks and things. And you do things like you can attempt contracts that earn you coin, fame, and other rewards. You can recruit more adventurers so that you can take on more difficult contracts or contracts that need different skills. And then you hire builders to upgrade your guild, which increases its capacity for to do more, is what they say. I assume that it looks like from some of the pictures they have here, it looks like, you can add spots for being able to put out more orders for your people and things like that, where you can send people and do different contracts and stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. It looks pretty cool.
Art looks really good on
Yeah,
it.
I really like the art style. I actually do like the ridiculously huge player screens.
And it's, and it's good that they have, it looks like they have a bunch of, diversity and stuff on there too, both from male, female, different colors, but it's also not like sexualized or anything like that, like a lot of fantasy stuff can have.
Yes.
So that's always good. That's always nice to see.
All of the women are fully clothed.
What?
Indeed.
What? Armor is effective when it covers the middle, too.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, it looks really good. I'd be curious to see more actual gameplay. Not enough to actually watch a gameplay video because gameplay videos bore the shit out of me typically. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna keep an eye on it. Also, Good Games USA earned some brownie points with me with Unfair, because that was a surprisingly really good game that I wish there was more stuff for sooner. I know there's stuff coming for it, but I wish there was more stuff.
There was a whole
sooner.
expansion they just did.
Did you back the expansion?
I did not.
Okay. Paul and I did. So
yeah.
So there is no new stuff coming for you just
Correct.
yet.
Which is why I wish there was more new stuff that was coming to me. There's not.
Before.
I'm sure I'll pick it up when it actually hits retail. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I really like Unfair, and so I'm curious to see how Good Games
USA
does on Guildmaster.
It's only $276 if you want to get 6 copies.
Yes. I will get copies for
everyone. That's your Christmas present to everyone.
Correct.
That's saving you
$6.
$20.
Okay. All right.
For 6 copies.
Hooray!
Yay!
Then we would all have a copy, and we'd only play one of them because we all own it, and none of us need to bring it.
Sorry, $18.
Oh, geez, not deal breaker.
Deal breaker, yeah.
Next up in Kickstarters is Starcadia Quest. This one has made $500,000 of its $200,000 goal, 4,400 backers exactly, but only 4 days left on this one.
Yep.
Which you can pledge for like $120 because that's like literally thousands and thousands of people are doing $120.
It's also
the CMON game.
it's one of 2 pledges for CMON
Yeah.
games that they do now.
80 and 120.
So I'm going to sum up Starcadia Quest really well for you. Did you like Arcadia Quest? Is the only reason you didn't like Arcadia Quest that it wasn't in space? If you answered yes to either of those questions, then you might be interested in Starcadia Quest. Yeah.
It's apparently in the same universe as Arcadia Quest. Who cares? I guess is the answer to that question. I don't even know why I asked.
Sure. Maybe it's way in the future when they've gotten space.
This is they should have just called it Arcadia Quest 40,000.
Or
yeah, all right.
Or Arcadia Quest in space.
That's Clank.
Yeah,
Clank already got it.
I know. So yeah, it's pretty standard CMON stuff at this point. Modular tile boards, bunch of different minis. Just like Arcadia Quest, they're chibi style, which means I fucking hate them.
They have a lot of optional buys for heroes and stuff like that.
Yep. So if you felt that the $120 wasn't enough, you can spend a lot more. Yeah, it's very silly, cartoony art style, very similar to Arcadia Quest, which is fitting since they're in the same universe. Yeah,
Sort of competitive miniature dungeon crawl.
Yep.
Yeah.
Little like team based. Like you have a little team of people that you're running around, doing different things, trying to snatch up loot while also occasionally battling monsters and other players' teams.
It looks like the next stretch goal is 4 plastic dashboard trays. So things an overlay type of thing to help hold stuff, which are always appreciative. If it can't be double layered cardboard.
So far, nobody has looked through the work in progress rulebook and found it to be a blatant ripoff of some other CMON game, so that's good.
But would it be okay? But
it's a CMON game.
It's a CMON game, so it would be lazy, not
Not illegal.
Yeah.
Aren't they already just ripping off all of their other games all the time?
What they really should have done is like somebody looked through the rulebook and realized it was just a complete rewording of the Arcadia Quest rulebook.
It was just Arcadia, but somebody wrote in ST, and that's it.
The work in progress rulebook actually looks more less work in progress than I was expecting.
Yeah. Mostly, I assume that means some editing and general layout changes might be happening. I played Arcadia Quest way back at Gen Con like 2 or 3 years ago.
With me.
Yeah, with you, Jeff.
Yes.
And I actually enjoyed the gameplay itself. Granted, this was 3 years ago, Adrian, who was a very different gamer.
You were buying Zombicide promos at this Gen Con, sir.
That Adrian is dead. Okay.
No, that Adrian's I've just banished him very quiet part of my.
It's like
I still own all of my Zombicide shit.
Yeah, but when have you played it?
Not for a while.
You don't get rid of games, so you still owning it doesn't mean much.
That's not true. I have gotten rid of games recently.
Which ones?
I got rid of all of my Munchkin. Munchkin is no longer in the home. 3 different full sets of Munchkin gone. Base Munchkin.
Barely count.
All zombies.
That doesn't really count.
All Apocalypse gone.
Anything that can actually fit on a shelf somewhere is what I'm talking about.
I mean, those fit on a shelf.
I mean, they can be
Were
in a
they
shelf.
on the same shelf as all the rest of the games?
Yeah. Or was
They
it
were until I moved, and then I couldn't bring myself to put them back on the shelf here, and I was just like, move them to the donation box.
So what you're saying is you've turned to the dark side, and then all of the light side portion of you was just shoved all the way to the back, but it's still there. So your future son will come cut your hand off and turn you back into the light side.
They're playing thematic, just dice chucking, chibi nonsense.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, who's the emperor in this situation?
Man.
Edward?
I think, yeah.
All right. So Edward, watch out. He's going to throw you into a bottomless pit at some point.
Of a space station.
Yes.
This is going to be about 20, 25 years in the future.
Yeah.
So this is all possible.
FYI, you are not going to age well.
Sam Jackson is going to melt your face off with lightning.
Yes, yeah.
Spoilers for Star Wars.
Oh my God. Spoilers for several decade-old movies.
It's episode 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 2000.
It's got to be at
6?
least a decade. Yeah. So
Yeah.
over a decade.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's Arcadia Quest, in case you forgot what the fuck we were talking about. Next up on Kickstarter.
Next up is Nanty Narking. Very well funded. Well, high pledge for once. $87,000 of its $77,000 goal, 1,100 backers, and 2 weeks left to pledge this one, which you can for $78.
Yes. So this one almost hit the cutting room floor at the start of the episode. Because we were like,
what's this game?
yeah, what the fuck is this?
Nanty Narkin. That doesn't sound like any.
I
That doesn't sound like real words.
I was working on something else while they were reading through them. They're like, oh, yeah, Victorian game of wit and podsnappery? What? Nah. And then I pulled it up, and I was like, wait, Martin Wallace. It's like reprint. And I started scrolling down, and then I read a couple of the action cards, which is when I realized this is the reprint that I had heard was happening for a while of Discworld of Ankh-Pomorph. Unfortunately, they were not able to get the license anymore.
They reference it by originally set in the flat world created by an author beloved by many and knighted for his writing.
Yes.
Without using any of the words that you know what they're talking about.
Yes. They also do have further down, if you had backed, it's too late now. If you had backed within the first 48 hours at the Round the World pledge, then you would get a free copy of Sir Terry's Code, Stories in an Imaginary World art book, which is also just a nice little throwback there to all of that. But yes, so I played Discworld for the first time back at HeavyCon, and I've talked about it on the show. It is a ridiculous kind of take that back and forth card game, area control game that Megan and I fucking loved. We neither one typically liked that style of game, and we really liked it. And this one looks great. I like the updated Victorian art style. It's dark and dreary, and I feel like now the art on the cards looks more like what the cards' actions are doing. The Discworld one, the cards are just kind of all over the place, and unless you're really into Discworld or other Terry Pratchett shit that's related to Discworld, you don't get any of the references. Now that they've kind of redone it, there's no references that you're going to be missing out on. The art matches what the card's doing because they just do, not because of some weird reference. Yeah, bunch of cool stuff. During the campaign, it will include metal coins instead of cardboard counters for money. Yeah.
Apparently, you're going to get a pretty good deal by kickstarting this, even though it is kind of expensive. It is going to be more expensive.
Yeah, £40 off of retail. But part of that is because you're getting the metal coins for free, which they're saying are retailing at £20.
Yeah.
And then the game itself is going to be £20 off the suggested retail price of £80, which is like, I don't know, 90 some US dollars.
Yeah, because 60 pounds is $78. Sure you didn't have that backward.
You might be right.
Yeah. So get it now, because unless it sucks, but it probably won't because it's based off a good game.
Yeah. That wraps up Kickstarters. Short Kickstarter. Long news, short Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Which, of course, brings us over to listener feedback section, where there are 3 entire emails for Jeff to just dive right into.
Dear God. This first one comes from Ralph, titled Jeff and Blood Bowl. I'm guessing I'm the one listener who understands the Aaron Hernandez reference from Bullshit Paul. It's clever because it references the University of Florida, the birthplace of Gatorade, and the criminal/murdering athletes.
It's Florida, yeah.
A great combo for Blood Bowl. Are there any other references on the teams to other dangerous football personalities? Ray Lewis? Ray Caruth? Whoever that is. I didn't understand who that last guy was. Ralph.
Yeah, so I had entirely missed the Aaron Hernandez reference. I don't know. I should have went back and listened.
That's what he named his Croxagore.
Yeah, what it was. It was just Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah, he just named his. Well, the name of his team is Gator Aid. Gator Raid. Gator Raid.
Okay. So and then so I missed that part of it. As for the rest of them, Ray Lewis, never convicted. He's an innocent man, guys. Big fucking air quotes on innocent man. Ray Caruth, on the other
Air
hand,
quotes.
Jeff, since you don't know.
Yes, please explain.
Not innocent man. Very much convicted of murdering his pregnant girlfriend.
Great guy.
Yeah. Like something like 17 years ago.
Okay.
It was a long time ago. And
Nice.
he only just like earlier this year like formally wrote a letter apologizing for it.
Mm.
So, because he's trying to get custody of one of his kids. Yeah. So, apparently, never mind. I just looked here, and he was looking to get custody. He has since been like, "No, I'm good."
All right.
So,
Got better things to do.
Like be in jail.
yeah, he's about to be out of jail. So that's where this all came from, I think, because he was like, "I'm about to be out of jail. I want to have my kid." Never mind that my kid's basically got to be nearly an adult now.
Yeah.
18 years ago. Can't imagine the kid wants much to do with the guy who killed his mom.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah. I did not know that he played for Florida though. And maybe he did. Well, no, he probably didn't, because Ray Lewis definitely, I don't think, did.
No idea.
And he's just listing dangerous football people.
Yeah.
Probably.
You know, a good positional for a character named Ray Lewis, an assassin. They use stab.
Yes.
Or a gutter runner, like move 9, and they have a weeping dagger, which lets them reroll badly hurts to try and make it worse.
Oh my God.
Nice.
Yeah. Thanks for the email, Ralph. And good on you for catching the reference that even those of us in the studio completely missed.
That know people in the studio that know
Football things.
Football.
Yes.
That should have caught
I heard the
references like
reference.
that.
I was like, I just don't know who it is.
Yeah, I think I discovered it on either one of our various group messages things or Slack.
Gotcha.
This next one comes from another Jeff. So I called Calgary the Denver of the North, as they're pretty similar cities. Both east of the Rockies, very similar climate, just colder on average up here. Lots of close skiing and boarding. Lots of oil and gas companies and breweries/microbreweries. Calgary's only at 2/3 of a mile high, though. You get above 5,000 feet pretty quickly heading into the mountains. We're a little over 1 million people, so not too different there either. Anyway, it's been a year since I've been to Denver, but my company's other main office is down there, so next time I do the trip, I'll get some recommendations on where to go.
Indeed.
Different other Jeff.
We are always happy and have on multiple times advised people visiting Denver on the good places to get beer and good food and play board games.
The best time to visit is when at least two of us happen to have a trip that takes us away from here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Especially if my trip happens like partway through your trip, because then I feel guilty and I just spend the entire time, first part of your trip when I'm in town hanging out with you and playing games and stuff.
Then pawning you off on friends.
Yes. I mean, all right.
To also play games with you.
I'm now leaving for this trip that I forgot about. What's the housing market like in Calgary, Jeff? I not Jeff here.
Other Jeff.
Jeff C. Other Jeff.
Different Jeff.
Other different Jeff.
Canadian?
Yeah, I
Jeff Canadian.
I would assume Canadian Jeff.
Yes.
Officially now
That's
just
what-
Canadian Jeff.
Well, that's what the CU meant.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was, remember I called him Jeff Calgary?
Yeah.
I'm curious if the housing market there, since they are such similar cities, if it's quite as fucked as the housing market here in Denver. Maybe we'll move there in 5 years when we sell our house here for $1 million.
I bet it. Unless it crashes. Then you'll be fine.
Housing market has never done that before.
Nah.
I mean, even Denver did it definitely tanked a bit in 08, but Denver weathered 08 pretty well.
No, it did, yes.
Yeah. This next email is from Michael. Terraforming Mars Venus Next cards. First mention of the Venus Next cards, but not first mention of Terraforming Mars.
Yeah.
Second mention. You might want to pre-read this whole email first.
Which we did?
I did.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't think I remember. I read it too, and I don't think I remember seeing anything objectionable.
No.
I don't know. We'll find out midstream if there is.
Can't stop midstream. It hurts.
You're not wrong. Not wrong.
You can when the dog tries to stick her head in the toilet.
Noted. Hello to my favorite 2-bit asshat podcast.
That's us.
That's indeed.
Hello.
I'm aware that Terraforming Mars is one of the show's favorite games and one of my wife's favorites. One of those care about, the other not.
There's an I missing there.
One of those I care about, the other not so much.
Assuming you care about your wife.
Yes.
And you don't give a shit about our opinions. Given that we're a 2-bit ass hat podcast.
Yeah.
And because I would hope that you care about your wife's opinion more
I
than
mean,
ours. Although, is she a professional? I mean...
and I'm pretty sure, I'm sure there's plenty of people who are married where the guy just doesn't give two shits about the wife's opinion.
Yeah.
So.
I've watched Married
But-
with Children.
Exactly.
I'm not sure if you have covered this before, but I recently came across a thread on BGG about the Venus Next cards having some differences than the ones in the original game. Most notable is that the cards are narrower by about 1 millimeter and the corners are rounded differently. The cardstock is different and the finish is different on the cards. I have not seen this before. This is the first I was made aware.
This was the first I'd heard of this as well.
I have like all of it sleeved, so it would never was ever a thing for me.
I feel like I've only played it sleeved. I don't. Does Paul have his copy sleeved?
I don't know.
If so, I don't think I've played his copy.
Once seeing this on the thread, I took out my copy of the game to verify that it was indeed the case with my cards as well, and it was, at least with the cards being narrower and the corners. I can't tell the differences in the cardstock or the finish. The Venus cards seem stiffer, but that could be to being newer. I can't say not knowing. Now that I know this, what do I do about it? 1. Reply on the BGG thread to agree or disagree with playability or lack there that this new information provides and get the internet upset. 2. Take the game off the shelf, bring outside, open game box, fill with dog shit, hopefully fresh. Proceed to mail game to Stephen Bonacore at Stronghold Games as a warning about producing a subpar product. 3. Nothing, because I don't give 2 Adrian shits about it, and it doesn't affect gameplay. We have played with Venus Next at least 6 times and didn't notice anything about the cards. 4. Email my favorite 2-bit asshat podcast to get their opinion. 5. Email my favorite 2-bit asshat podcast because I'm bored and it might be entertaining. My order would be 3, 5, 4, 1, 2. While 2 has its appeal, which is the
Dog shit.
The dog shit.
but there might be some legal repercussions. And then he links the thread, the nightmare thread that was from like a while ago, but it's still going. Like the original post date was like a while.
Gotcha.
Yeah, holy shit, that thread is an absolute nightmare.
Yeah. Angry,
of course it is.
Angry internet nerds getting angry about nothing, which he continues. It gets real heavy below. I will paraphrase most of this because it does get very heavy below.
Yeah, I'm going to assume that he sent it with the knowledge that we read anything that specifically doesn't say do not read.
Yeah.
So we're going to paraphrase
Yes.
here.
Now, I'll read a couple sentences here. Now, I get that people expect a certain level of quality in the things that they buy, but as with most things, some people take those things to the extreme. Me, I don't give two flying fucks about it.
Or 2 Adrian shits.
Or 2 Adrian shits. To me, it seems like some people like to turn molehills into mountains. Maybe some of these people haven't had to deal with real adversity or difficulties. He continues on with a very heavy story that is wonderful that he shared that with us. I'm not sure if it's quite airworthy. I'm not sure I want to air all that out.
I mean, I would say what
Yeah.
it's about.
Yeah, so, Michael, I don't know how much of this you wanted us to
Yeah,
share.
It's very.
I feel like you wanted us to share the whole thing.
it is
yeah.
It is very personal.
Yeah.
So, essentially, he had a child who was born with some severe birth defects from a lack of oxygen at birth and had to suffer and struggle with a lot of things during his short life.
Mm-hmm.
And then he passed 14 years ago. They had to make some tough decisions during that entire process. And so and then he wraps up the last couple sentences here after telling that story. Jeff, if you want to finish out the email.
If you have made that choice and can still bitch about the quality of some fucking cards in a game, let me know.
Feel like summarizing what he said sort of decreases that impact. But
A little bit, yeah. I don't know. If you want us to go full in on it, Michael, send us another email and we'll come back and we'll go full heavy next week when we know that we have your express permission. But otherwise, yeah.
He continues, sorry about the rant. This is the type of shit that makes me question humanity or maybe my humanity. Michael.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I tend to feel about most of these things. Like, we'll point out minor nitpicky quality things when we review games, just because there are things that you sometimes do notice.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't notice. Like, we've played Venus Next, and we didn't notice that ever. You've played it multiple times. You didn't notice.
I think the only time for me that it really comes, like, you see it is if something's really high quality, except for like one or two things that are just like, why did you, and it's more of a question of, like, why did you cut this corner when you went the entire distance for everything else? But I'm not gonna bitch at anybody because of this or anything like that. So
yeah. I don't.
Unfair was the only one that was something like this that I was like, oh no.
Yeah, unfairs were bad,
Yeah.
but they addressed that and sent extras.
Yes.
And I mean, Frixelius, Jacob Frixelius is in this thread. Like holy shit, we don't know the cause of this. It shouldn't have happened. Like, what's going on? So they're aware of it. Although, I mean, this is from January, but this is the first I've heard of it as well.
yeah, maybe they fixed it in future copy printings. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But the guy who opens this up, who says he can't shuffle the cards because they're narrower.
He's a bad shuffler.
Is he shuffling from the sides?
It's like, what the
know.
fuck? He has to be. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's all over the place. And yeah, the thread gets real bad. People get banned for being antagonistic and hateful. And
Welcome to the internet.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll dig more into this later now that I'm more aware of it being an actual thing, and see if there's an actual official response or anything.
Yeah, it seemed like there was some people that knew about printing stuff for Stronghold that were in there, about where certain pieces were coming from and where, et cetera. But, yeah, a stupid thing like card sizes being off is not worth what the shit is going on in that thread.
Yeah, like somebody pointed out, like, oh, it's a millimeter difference. Like, I'm sorry, a millimeter is basically fucking nothing.
Yeah.
Like, seriously. That's basically nothing. So,
It is a millimeter.
I mean, if you can't shuffle cards that are millimeter thinner.
How tall are you again, Adrian? 5'6" and a
5'6" and a what?
5'6"?
5'6"?
Just 5'6", right?
Right.
And a half. Son of a bitch.
Okay.
You son of a bitch. I knew you were going to let it go until I just said it.
Yeah.
So 5'6" and a half, which is several millimeters. Half of an inch is several millimeters.
True. It's more than a millimeter. That's it for emails. Emails at milehighgameguys.com if you would like to send us an email.
That half an inch, by the way, is 12 millimeters.
12 millimeters. That's like how many Venus cards off?
So many. Yeah. So that's all the emails. We do have a new comment from Paulo's Corner over on YouTube. Paulo would like to know, I guess he wouldn't like to know. This is more a statement than a question. Don't know why, but this episode was bullshit. Exclamation point. Tongue out emoji, smiley face thingy.
I like when you explain the emojis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do what I can. That pretty much wraps up all of this week's episode. Thanks everybody for tuning in. If you would like to get a hold of us, you can always send us emails.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
You can find us over on Twitter, where I tweet under @MHGameGuys.
I am Zach_MHGG.
And I am Jeff_MHGG.
We have Facebook and Instagram /MileHighGameGuys. And we have our Patreon over at patreon.com/MileHighGameGuys, where you can support us financially. Other than that, don't forget to go over to grayfoxgames.com to show a little bit of support to our awesome sponsors over there. They've been really awesome in working with us on giveaways and things, which, Eric, your game will be coming shortly. That's on me, not them. And yeah, their game Pocket Mars is currently out of stock on their website, but I'm sure that more will be coming because they're very excited about it. Jeff is still very excited about it. Don't remember, Jeff, did you talk about that in your What Did You Play recently? Because you just played a two-player game pretty recently.
I did just play a two-player game recently. Still a great game. Still a nice, learning game to teach newer people into board games. Scales well at 2 to 4 players, and I've played it at all player counts at this point. I think I'm the only one with a copy of it, so hence me talking about it all the time.
Correct.
Yes.
I think I need to actually finally play it for sure, for certain, this Wednesday at D-Bolt.
Yes.
Mark it down on the calendar. Pocket Mars at D-Bolt.
Yes.
And then, do you have a prepared statement?
I do.
Oh, were you going to talk about Pocket Mars a little bit more?
No, I mean I don't have to.
No,
Everyone's heard it.
Yeah, we've heard his
Spark-
spiel many times.
Pocket Mars is good. It plays. You play 4 cards, and then you move astronauts from Earth to Mars. All right.
Sorry.
And it's fun. You need more? Well, listen to those other episodes, and then future ones until they stop.
Till all the episodes just end.
Yeah.
Yes.
Listen to them, and they will all talk about how awesome Pocket Mars is for all eternity. Our review for the next 5 weeks, Pocket Mars, every week.
We're gonna turn. It's like that movie podcast where they watch the same movie for an entire year.
Except that's good.
Yeah, because the movies they watched were
Not good.
What was the Adam Sandler one?
Click.
No.
The twin one, wasn't it?
No, it's the one with all the friends. It's like David Spade and Chris
Oh
Rock.
yes, yeah,
50.
Good.
Shit.
Good.
that one. But then also the second one they did, that New York about 4 women.
Sex in the City.
Sex and the City 2.
2.
They watched that one 52 times.
I would play Pocket Mars 52 times. I would not watch Sex in the City 2 once. Pocket Mars better than Sex in the City 2.
At least 52 times better.
Yeah,
Throw it on the back of the box,
Uh-huh.
Alex. You got your
that's your quote right there.
boom.
Pocket
All
Mars
right.
at least 52 times better than Sex and the City 2.
Mile High Game, guys.
My game, guys.
Yes.
Jeff, do you have a prepared statement for us?
Gray Fox Games, quality games, cleverly crafted. Also, death is tragic, but life is miserable.
That fits very well as a throwback to the beginning of the episode with Zach watching a lot of Bojack Horseman.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, but thanks everybody for listening in. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Be sure to catch our Friday episode where we will discuss our top 10 favorite implementations of worker placement mechanism, or something roughly there.
yeah.
Zach's making like,
Founders Gloomhaven totally has a worker placement mechanic in it.
find out if Zach stabs Jeff for including that on his list on Friday. Yeah, that wraps everything up. As always, I have been your host, Adrian.
I am still Zach.
And I'm Power On Self-Test Jeff.
Bye.
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 Yeah, and it's with Adam Savage, which you probably know from fucking Mythbusters.
I literally
He
said
literally just
all
said
of
that.
those things.
Sorry. I was looking for something on the Riata thing.
I don't know why you're looking up Rihanna right now, but that's
Riata. Riatia.
Did you hear about this Chris Brown Rihanna thing?
Oh my god.
fucked up, man.
Punchboard Media,
where we all
bring something
to the table.
pull up a chair
At punchboardmedia.com.